Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming in miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on with our 15mm battle group project update, the Lafayette Bridge update. If you've not come to any of these updates in the past, what they are is basically every couple of weeks, what I'll do is I'll let you know what I've done so far towards the project, or I will show you what I'm working on, or things like that. In this video, I just kind of want to show you what I've been working on and what I got, so and what I'm planning on using towards building the battlefield and the miniatures and the scenario and everything else. Okay. I don't know where to start, but let's start at the top. Okay, so here we go. I just recently got a 1/100 scale fighter. It's a BF-109, right? I've already opened it up. It looks like it's pre-painted, so all I have to do is... Alright, it's pre-painted BF-109. All I have to do is assemble it. I'm excited about that. I think I'm going to jump on that today. Also, I just finished assembling, and or not, yeah, I guess assembling it is true, because these are the Plastic Soldier Company German Grenadiers, and some of them are multi-parts, like the prone guys. They usually have like a left and a right body part you got to glue together, and some of these other guys, the machine gunners that I'm not using, and the mortarmen had arms that you had to elevate or depress, and some of the Panzerfausts had to be glued on. Assembling those models took a little bit of time, believe it or not. I was kind of surprised at the amount of time it actually took to assemble them. But once I got them assembled, I got them put on these popsicle sticks using my double-sided tape and primed. I went ahead and went in and painted them. And now this morning I just finished washing them, so they are going to, once they dry, I can start mounting. Well, they're pretty much dry, but once they're completely dry, I can base them up and figure out exactly how I want to base them. I do believe that my prone machine gun teams are going to be on 30mm squares. They might wind up on 30mm round bases like my mortars. The mortar teams are going to be on 30mm round bases. Machine gun teams might also, but I have a feeling I'm just going to go ahead and put them on a 30mm square. Okay, so we get those guys out of the way. They are ready to go. Basically, the entire German force is ready to go. I was able to put the entire Lafayette Bridge scenario with just the Grenadier box and the heavy support weapon box. And with those two boxes, every German soldier was ready to go. Minus one soldier, the sniper. There is a sniper that I need, but I could designate any rifleman as the sniper. I don't have to actually have a bespoke sniper figure, even though I am going to get one, because I noticed that Battlefront sells snipers. Okay, also, in addition to that, I went ahead and assembled and painted the R35s, right? So I've got these R35s assembled and painted. And they look pretty good. All right, let's see if the focus will change now that I've adjusted the camera just slightly. That's kind of dark, right? What do you think? I think that's dark. I might be in the lighting. That's probably what the problem is. Okay. R35s. The decals are actually 28 millimeter Warlord Games German half-track decals. They just happen to fit perfectly on the side of these vehicles. Okay, so I got those three. All right, moving on. So now you know about the wooden sticks that I'm using, right? The 3/4 inch wide sticks. I went ahead and cut a strip about 20, maybe even less, 20 millimeters across, so that it would sit on one of these sticks. And then I broke it up into 4 pieces. But that was intentional because I was testing spray paint. I have some spray paint that I wanted to apply to the foam, and I wanted to see if it would melt the foam, and it did not. The Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch 2X. I sprayed a couple of other pieces of foam, because different foam has different composition, or how it's made, and I sprayed those, and they seemed to be okay. So then I got some of this, which is what I was going to use for my bocage, and I sprayed it, and it seemed to be okay. Now the final test will be on this foam here, and we'll have to do like a little corner piece just to make sure, because a lot of times your alcohol based spray paints will melt the paint, so you need to use like a very low alcohol percentage or a no alcohol percentage paint. And apparently those Painter's Touch, they're enamels, but they're low alcohol, which is good. And I'll let you know how that progress goes on as well. Okay, continuing on with the bocage. As you know, I'm going to make the styrofoam dirt area, right? But on top of it, I want to put foliage and bushes, and on some of them I want to put trees. So I ordered the pads, which are going to be hedgerows, and I'm going to also have to flock these. I don't see a problem with maybe taking some Elmer's glue on a brush and just soaking it and then sprinkling flock on it. I think that's what I'm going to do with these guys, instead of using the spray, because that gets all over your fingers and it becomes crazy when you do a spray. So I think I'm going to just manually paint the surface of this with glue and then sprinkle. I think we'll have to experiment again. And my paper that was supposed to be used on the walls was back ordered, so I'm gonna have to experiment with some gray primer and some lines on my walls that I'm going to be using these 10 millimeter popsicle sticks to create walls. Okay, on top of the hedges, the hedgerows, the bocage, I was going to put some trees, as everyone knows, right? So I ordered, like I said, I ordered some trees, even though I have some pine trees. The pine trees that I had in the past were these Heike N-scale pines, and these were awesome. Like this pine right here, it's about 2 inches, right? Okay. These are all some of the smaller ones. This came like anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 inch tall, and I used some of the larger ones for my 20 millimeter gaming. But these look like they'd be perfect for 15 millimeter, and they're about 2 inches tall. And I was going to put those at the top of my bocage on one specific bespoke one. And if I've got a few, because I got more than 6 in here, I got a maybe a dozen left over. So I can scatter them between other areas of the battlefield as well. And then, of course, I've got dark green clump foliage I've had. This is probably, I don't know, years old. So those are the ones I'm going to be using for guarantee, for sure, 100%. But I did order these because I forgot that I had ordered those. And these guys are also supposed to be N-scale train trees. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. These aren't N-scale trains. This actually, it says it's 1/100 scale, which is 15 millimeters. So these should be to scale with a 15 millimeter trooper, right? And I thought they were supposed to come in a wide range of heights and stuff, but they look like they're all exactly the same, even with the same angle of slope of tree and everything. They look really good. They really do look good, but I'm afraid that the stem or the trunk of the tree is way too long. Now, there's no problem with that. I can just jam that down into the styrofoam, and that'll actually be better. And plus, I'm sure with snippers, I could cut off whatever I need to cut off. But oh yeah, if I cut it off at about that high, it would also be 2 inches. Yeah. Okay, so these might work as well, or a mixture. I don't know. They look really good. Yeah, they look really good. And I don't know, there's 20 of them in there? Yeah, 20 of them. So if I don't put them on the bocage, I'll put them on the battlefield somewhere. Or just make them as individuals to place in wooded areas for any game that I'm playing. Failing those large trees, I also have about, I don't know, this is like one of at least 4 different packs that I have that I didn't use. These guys are super small. You know, they're less than an inch tall. These would be great for tops of any of the other bocages, just as bushes or foliage. They are pretty. I guess they're bigger than they're small trees. They're super small trees. I would say they're about 10 foot, 15 foot tall trees. Okay, now you also know. Whoa, things are sticking all over the place. And as you know, I was going to make my own walls. I'm going to make my own hedges, but I couldn't resist. I went ahead and ordered a pack of Struckenturmus Hecken hedges. Okay. These guys are about 10 millimeters. They're there's 2 of them. You can see a dark and a light green one, and each one of those strips is probably about 2 feet, I'm guessing. 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's about 20 inches per hedge. And if I break that down into like a 6-foot hedge, maybe with a gap on a couple of them or whatever, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's probably about 8 little hedge pieces that I can put out on the table just using this. But these hedges look a little bit more groomed and a little bit more like garden-esque and less battlefield. But I don't know, in a city or a town, this would be fine. This would be great. But in like a rural setting, like it's not a bocage, right? It's not a wild hedge. It's a groomed hedge. But I'm going to use some of those. One last thing that I got in was Knock, which I think is one of my favorite brands. But there's 3 different types of fencing here. We've got like, these 2 are very similar styles, but it's, you might or might not be able to really see what kind of fencing that is. Okay, there we go. Maybe that helps. And this one down here, these are all, what do they call them? Horizontal fencing, where this is like a picket fence. These are vertical fences. These fences, the bottom one has gates. The top ones, I don't see that. And that's, I guess, the kind of fencing that you would expect. I'm in the light again. That's the kind of fencing you would expect. Model building item, not a toy. Okay. Contains 53 pieces, approximately 66 inches long. Okay, that's almost, I mean, that's over 5 feet. So, wow. These guys look like they're only a couple of inches, but if I put 3 or 4 of them on a stick, then, you know, you'll have like a long fence. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. One of the last things I want to talk about is this foam. When I ordered this foam, I had low expectations. It was supposed to be 5 pieces, 2 by 2, and it was good. And the picture showed white foam, which usually is very low density foam. And so I said, okay, will 5 of these work for my battlefield? And I said yes, because most of the section in the middle is the swamp area, and I don't need that. That can be cut out and discarded or whatever. And so I can shuffle the foam so that I can make sure I've got enough to cover the entire battlefield. When it came in, there are, in fact, 6 pieces of foam in there, which, wow, 6 2x2s covers the entire table. That would be a 4x6, right? And so I was like, okay, there's a 4x6 table right here in this box. But I'm still going to need to cut out pieces, and I'll probably be able to save one of these because of the way I've got it laid out. It looks like there's going to be a whole, 2 feet not needed. Okay, so I'm like, okay, that's great. It comes in a box, that pretty sturdy box, that once I get these finished, I can put them back in this box and put them in storage, and this box will help protect my Lafayette Bridge battlefield. Okay, and I'll have 1 extra piece, which I looked at the foam, and I said, okay, foam, are you actually, in fact, 2 feet? And they are, right? It is exactly 2 feet in both directions. And I'm like, perfect cut. I'm excited about that. And then, in addition, I mean, I'm just getting more and more happy as I go along. This is a full 1 inch thick, right? It is thick, which a full inch, actually it looks like a full inch is way more than you need. Obviously, you could get away with just like a millimeter, but I wanted it to be thick enough that if I needed to cut into it, like give it some like foxholes, not foxholes, but like trenches or shell holes or anything like that. If I needed to dig into this, I could dig a good distance in and still not go all the way through. And that's why I wanted the 1 inch. Also, when it comes to actually I could have got away with probably 1/2 inch, but this was actually cheaper than the 1/2 inch. And also, it is very closed cell. It's very, what's it called? Extruded or extruded. This foam is very compact. Like, it's insulation foam. It's exactly like that pink foam, but it is just bigger and thicker, and less. And it's not pink; it's blue. Yeah. So this is going to work really good. Okay. Last piece of resistance. Here we go. Bachmann makes a 50 by 100 grass mat. Okay, and I kind of, they have a variety of different colors. This one is Meadow, and Meadow seems to be very good color-wise in my palette. When I look at my Meadow flock and Meadow, everything Meadow seems to be good. Okay, so I got it, and you can see the color. If I get out of the lighting, it's a good color. I like it. It looks like, you know, it's the kind of color I like. It's got a little bit of yellow flakes in there, very few, but mostly green. And it's on this craft paper. It's on this really thick craft, I mean, that's thick. Thick craft paper. What I'm going to do is obviously roll it out and cut it into pieces, and I'm not going to be able to use a bunch of 2x2s in this battle because of the way I'm sloping it down and making the causeway and the low ground in the middle. There's going to be like a main town, the Kokigny town is going to be on, and the church and everything like that will be on the 1 2x2. And then above it, there's going to be a 1x2. And then over here, there's going to be a couple of 1x2s. And then over here, there's going to be another 1x2. And so what'll wind up happening is there'll be one center piece that's going to be this big. Now, I could take a second 2x2 and put it in like off center behind it, so it would be 2x2 here, where this would be 1 foot more, and then I can just do a 1x2 there, and then a 1x2 here, and I think I'm going to do it that way actually, with 2 solid pieces, and then every other piece is going to be cut down to size. That way there's less pieces. I mean, the 2 main battlefields will be basically the solid pieces, is what I'm saying. Okay, this says a 50 by 100 easily covers a 4x8 sheet of plywood. So you get a couple extra inches that way too. So this is a 4x8 sheet. A little bit more, just over a 4x8. I'm not making a 4x8 table, for one thing. I'm only making a 4x6. So that's going to be a lot of extra grass left over. And not only am I not only doing a 4x6, I'm also leaving a big chunk of it in the middle out. So what I want to do first is cut the foam and then lay the grass over the cut foam. And finally, the roads. I'm actually going to bespoke the tiles. So I'm going to actually put the roads on the tile. Now I've considered this, and this might be the way I'm going to do it, is I'm going to put the road onto the foam, and then when I put the grass down, I'm going to cut out enough for where the road is supposed to be. But I don't know if I want to do that. I think I might put the road on top of the grass. I don't know how that'll look. So I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting. So if I cut enough of the grass out to make a road in between, then I could texture the road, right? I could texture the road beforehand or after, but I think beforehand might be best. And then when I lay the grass, it'll butt right up against whatever I'm texturing, and then I can always go in after where the paper ends and the texture begins. I could always fiddle around with that to get it to look right. But if I lay the paper out, then I could just put some like texture over the grass and see if that looks good. I have a feeling it's not going to look good. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to texture the foam where the road's going to be, and then cut the paper to fit up to the roads. I think. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's where I'm at right now. And thanks for coming out and checking out this video. And my progress is going on pretty good. I've got my infantry done for the Germans. They're not based, but they're painted. And now I'm just waiting for my Americans to come in. And the basing and the I'm trying to decide. This is another thing I'm thinking about deciding, is 15mm individual bases with crew served weapons on multi bases, and maybe a leader or a spotter or something like that on multi bases, but most of the troops are all going to be on individual bases. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. All right, guys, I will catch you next time.